humans.
You talk about kids, like you talk to the kids.
Yes,
and
love
so
my kids.
I wanna ask you because I love your story of you had this dance teacher.
Oh yeah, Carrie.
And I
got
feel
goosebumps.
like, yeah, and I've had some deep conversations with you about, like kids and teaching, and you bring her up,
Yeah.
and like how good of a teacher she was, and
Yeah.
what the difference she made in your life.
Yeah, I credit her so much for how I am as an instructor and as a teacher. So growing up, I was a full-time dancer. That's actually what brought me out to LA originally, was to dance. But Carrie, she was like Jocko. She was
What was her name?
Carrie Herman. Yeah. And she was like, no BS. Like, she came in, and when she walked in the room, all 30 of us like stood up, we're in our lines. All she had to do was walk over to the stereo, hit play, warm up began. And she was like, so like into her details on how she taught, and she looked at every single piece of the body and every single piece of the choreography, and every piece was important to her. And she didn't take it easy on us. She kept us late on rehearsals. She didn't care. She was like, this is going to be done. It's going to be done right. And I remember this distinctive memory. I was a sophomore in high school. We had a big tournament, and it was my first year making the elite team, like the highest level of like the team. And these girls were like the girls, like they were like the top of the top. And I did in our auditions for the pieces we were going to be in that year for competition. I made it into one of the pieces with those girls, and it was my first time doing that. And I remember going to this rehearsal, and I didn't understand this movement, and I couldn't do it. And she was just like, again, and then no, again, no, again. And then she put her hands on her knees, and she was like, you need to get this right now. And I did it again and did it wrong. And she goes, everybody get off the floor. Erica, go. And I remember just like, all I wanted to do was cry. It was like a panic moment,
You were a sophomore in high school?
I was a sophomore in high school. And she was just like, no, again, no, again. And it was one of those like stories where I literally did it 30 times, didn't do it right. And I'm crying. And she didn't care that I was crying. The girls on the side were crying in my like honor, and it was my first time being with these elite girls. And I'm crying, and I'm doing this move over and over and over and over and over again. And there was like, no, she didn't care, but she wanted it done right. And then afterwards, after my emotions come down, and after, the next day, she pulls me aside, and she was just like, you're a diamond, and I'm going to push you, and I'm going to pressure you, and you're going to be the best. And she's like, and it's up to you to decide if you can handle it. She goes, I know you can handle it, but you have to know you can handle it. And
you're going to decide.
You have to decide. She's like, this is your choice. She's like, I can see it in you, so I'm going to push it out of you. But if you keep going and you stick with this team, is up to you. And I remember I was like, okay. And I got keys, had my license, and I went to the gym, or I went to the studio after school, and I just practiced. And that really hit me. And the way that she coached us and guided us, like, she loved us. And I know
it was all love.
It was all love. But
she was laying down the foundation of who you are.
She laid down the foundation of who I am as a person. And there's been just countless times as an adult here living in LA by myself that I turned to the lessons she taught me when I was a kid. I grew up with her, and she pushed me. And
how old are you when you started with her?
When I started with her, I was in 8th grade.
8th grade, okay.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade with her. I was at somewhere else because her academy was invite only. So I started with her and was competing with a different academy, and then she invited me to come to her academy. So I made the switch in 8th grade, which was really difficult. It was extremely difficult to switch because, one, these girls were already established with her, high-level competitors, and then 2, it's like switching gyms, for jiu-jitsu. Like it's incredibly difficult, but sometimes it has to be done for the betterment of your growth. And that was me as a child. And I didn't know, you didn't know about politics and all this stuff. And so I go to new tournaments with this new team. I'm being pressured and have all this like expectations that I had never experienced before. And then I had my old teammates like, oh, don't talk to her, like ignore her, like we don't like her anymore. And I'm like, hey, like, but from these years we were a team, and I still love you guys the same, but I'm just dancing with somebody else now. And so I had to learn all these like adult things, politics and whatever else.